The laughter echoed through the marble halls like sharp knives. Everyone at the grand wedding party stared as Emma fell to her knees, her silver dress torn and blood trickling down her leg. Her husband's family, the Prestons, stood frozen for a moment, then burst into cruel laughter. "Get out of here, you fat cow," the mother-in-law spat, waving her hand in disgust. The crowd gasped. Phones were raised, cameras flashing. Emma's cheeks burned red with humiliation. But what no one knew, what would soon shock everyone in that glittering room, was that Emma wasn't just the bride they all mocked. She was the quiet billionaire whose kindness would change their lives forever. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Lights, the channel where real stories remind us that goodness always wins in the end. If you believe kindness can change the world, hit the like button and share this story with someone who needs a little hope today. And tell us in the comments, have you ever been judged unfairly? Emma was never the kind of woman who drew attention to herself. She was gentle, soft-spoken, and always put others before herself. She wasn't a supermodel or a socialite. She was just real. But what people didn't see behind her calm smile was the woman who had built a multi-million-dollar tech company from the ground up before she turned 30. She had met David Preston, a charming young architect, at a charity gala. He didn't know who she was at first, and she liked it that way. For months, they spent time together without the shadows of money or fame hanging over them. He loved her laugh, her compassion, and how she always helped strangers. When he proposed, she said yes with tears in her eyes, but from the very beginning, his family never approved. David's parents, Richard and Margaret Preston, came from old money. They believed in appearances, status, and a certain image. They couldn't understand why their only son would choose a woman who didn't fit their shallow idea of perfection. "She's nice," Margaret would say with a fake smile, "but she's not exactly glamorous, dear." David defended Emma every time, but his family's disapproval never stopped. They whispered at dinners, made comments about her clothes, and snickered at her curvy figure. Emma always stayed kind. "Always patient, I can handle it," she told David. "They don't know me yet." She believed kindness could melt even the coldest hearts. Their wedding day was supposed to be magical. The Preston estate sparkled with chandeliers and roses. Guests wore designer gowns, champagne flowed, and everything was picture perfect except for the quiet tension in the air. Emma noticed the glances, the whispers behind fans, the mocking smirks from her in-laws. She smiled anyway, greeting everyone warmly. After the ceremony, during the reception, Emma accidentally slipped near the dance floor. Her heel caught on the edge of her gown, and she fell hard. A sharp pain shot through her leg, tearing her dress and leaving a small streak of blood. There was silence, then laughter. The bride's dress was ruined, and her knees were scraped. But what hurt most wasn't the fall, it was the sound of her mother-in-law laughing so hard she could barely breathe. "Get out of here, you fat cow!" Margaret shouted, her voice slicing through the music. "You've embarrassed this family enough." Phones came up, people recording the moment as if it were entertainment. David froze, torn between his family and his wife. Emma slowly stood up, her eyes glistening with tears, but not anger. "You're right," she said softly. "I have embarrassed this family. But not in the way you think." The guests looked confused as she reached into her small clutch and pulled out her phone. She pressed a few buttons, and the massive LED screen behind the stage flickered to life. A video began playing. It showed clips from Emma's foundation, children in hospitals receiving technology that allowed them to study while undergoing treatment. Families who'd lost everything finding new hope through her charity's housing program. Elderly people receiving food and care thanks to donations from an anonymous benefactor. Then, Emma's voice narrated softly, "Kindness doesn't need an audience. It needs courage. It needs love." Gasps rippled through the room. The Preston guests stared at the screen, recognizing the logo of one of the most generous charity organizations in the country. Margaret's face turned pale. You did all that?" Emma nodded. "Yes. My company funds it. Every project, every child helped, it's all from the profits I make. And today, I was going to surprise the Preston Foundation with a $10 million donation to help build hospitals in your family's name. But maybe that was a mistake." The silence was deafening. David's father, usually so proud and stern, looked away in shame. "Emma, we didn't know." Emma smiled sadly. "You didn't ask. You only saw what you wanted to see." David finally stepped forward, taking Emma's hand. "I'm sorry, Emma," he said softly. "You deserve so much better than this." But Emma didn't hold grudges. She never did. She looked at her in-laws, people who had mocked her, judged her, humiliated her in front of the world, and said words no one expected: "I forgive you." Tears filled Margaret's eyes. For the first time, her cold mask cracked. "Why?" she whispered. "After what we did to you, why?" "Because hatred only spreads pain," Emma replied. "And kindness, real kindness, changes hearts. Even broken ones." The entire room went quiet. One by one, guests lowered their phones. Some began to clap. Then everyone did. The laughter that once cut Emma down was replaced by applause that lifted her up. The video ended with a message on the screen: "You be kind. You never know who's fighting silently beside you." From that day on, the Prestons changed. They began volunteering, donating, and supporting Emma's causes. Margaret herself became one of the most vocal advocates for body positivity and kindness in her community, and as for Emma and David, they built a life full of love, laughter, and purpose. They proved that strength doesn't come from wealth or looks, but from compassion. So the next time you see someone being judged, remember Emma's story. Remember how cruelty can turn into grace when met with kindness, because true kindness isn't weakness, it's power. The kind that can silence laughter, heal hearts, and change the world. Thank you for watching this story on Kindness Lights. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it touched your heart. Together, let's make kindness shine a little brighter every day.